What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and this is the single biggest and most tragic moment in the history of the MHA manga. The manga and characters from the manga have been trending worldwide on multiple social media platforms, and people are just speechless. I mean, the death flags were there, the foreshadowing was there, but I still can't believe this actually happened. Honestly, I am in shock, and so is almost everyone else in the MHA fandom. Well, everyone except for Deku. You guys know how this works. Leave a quick like and comment to support us in that YouTube algorithm. It only takes you a second, but it really helps us out a lot. And if you haven't already, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. It might seem like a small thing, but subscribing helps us out a lot, and it's completely free. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Anime Uproar. Finally, this video will of course contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Now, for the past several chapters, we have been getting strong hints that Bakugo is seriously injured and that his life is definitely in grave danger. But I mean, that has been the case before with Bakugo and with many main characters. And 2 chapters ago, he was pulled to safety by 𝕔𝕚𝕚 and 𝕔𝕚𝕚, and that is when the big 3 took over the fight against Shigaraki. And yet, even though 𝕔𝕚𝕚 told Bakugo to get off the battlefield because he can't keep fighting in his condition, Bakugo insisted on staying. In fact, he began carefully studying Shigaraki's movements in order to find a pattern so that he can predict and anticipate his moves in the future. The previous chapter gave us several important moments and pieces of information. After 𝕔𝕚𝕚 called out Shigaraki for not having any friends, it was confirmed that Tenko Shimura is still in there somewhere within Shigaraki's psyche. Little Tenko was enraged by 𝕔𝕚𝕚's statements, and he said that he does have friends like Mikuren, Tomo, and Monchan, which are all memories from Shigaraki's childhood while he was still Tenko Shimura and before he became Shigaraki. This confirms that there are not only 2 personalities within Shigaraki's body, i.e. the Shigaraki we know and All for One. There is also a 3rd personality, Shigaraki's original personality before he became a villain, Tenko Shimura. This is a worrying development for the All for One personality because he wants the body to become a perfectly melded combination of him and Shigaraki. But little Tenko Shimura is still in there, and that could put a wrench into All for One's ultimate master plan. The big 3 then employ some masterful and highly dangerous teamwork in order to try and strike a serious blow against the overpowered Shigaraki. After apparently eating an entire restaurant's worth of food, Sun Eater turns into that guy from Akira. He uses all the food that he ate to create a massive organic plasma cannon from his body, and he launches a powerful blast directly at Shigaraki. Now, I'm no physicist, so I don't know how eating a bunch of different foods allowed Sun Eater to create a plasma cannon, but I guess maybe he launched what was supposed to come out of him some other way directly at Shigaraki instead. Anyway, Sun Eater's plasma blast was able to distract Shigaraki long enough for 𝕔𝕚𝕚 to hit him right in the face with a combination of his own strength and Nejire's energy. And although this delivers a tremendous blow to Shigaraki, it just isn't enough to take him out. As a shocked and disappointed 𝕔𝕚𝕚, Nejire, and Sun Eater look on, Shigaraki tells them to stop being delusional. Did they really think that their attacks could bring down someone whose power rivals the strength of All Might in his prime? Shigaraki thinks that the big 3 are just not fully grasping how powerful he truly is, and so they are not just wasting their own time, but also his time. And it is at this point that Bakugo steps up to the plate yet again. Despite being severely injured, Bakugo tells 𝕔𝕚𝕚 to take care of everyone because they still have a battle to win. As Shigaraki approaches Bakugo in the style of a JoJo villain, Bakugo is suddenly able to anticipate Shigaraki's movements and dodge them with even more speed than he had ever demonstrated before. It turns out that activating his new move, Cluster Bomb, had several side effects on Bakugo's body that even he didn't anticipate. Using Cluster Bomb places a tremendous burden on the nitroglycerin-filled sweat glands on Bakugo's palms. And as he kept accumulating more and more nitroglycerin spheres in his palms, There were just too many for his palms to handle, so these spheres began dispersing throughout his entire body in search of an outlet. Once the spheres became dispersed throughout his body, they began to detonate, allowing Bakugo to reach an unprecedented, explosive level of speed. But as a result, his body feels like it is going to fall apart. And yet, Bakugo knows that this is exactly what Deku has been dealing with his entire life. He has been pushing through the pain as his entire body felt like it would fall apart in order to improve and become stronger. As he continues to fight Shigaraki, Bakugo asks Deku whether he will ever be able to reach his level of strength and determination. As the fight continues, Shigaraki actually finds himself losing his cool. He is even reminded of the second one-for-all user, who, as many have pointed out, looks a lot like Bakugo. This is interesting because it indicates that Shigaraki's anger and emotion are coming from All for One, or maybe the quirk All for One, which seems to remember the second one-for-all user. And clearly the current fight against Bakugo is leading All for One to remember the second user for whatever reason. It could be because the second user looks a lot like Bakugo and he had also gathered allies to fight against All for One's control, just like Bakugo is doing now. It could also be because the second user risked everything and sacrificed his own life to defeat All for One, just like Bakugo seems to be willing to do right now. Or there could be some other connection here. There is of course a popular fan theory that the second user of One for All is either Bakugo himself who traveled back in time, or it's someone directly related to Bakugo in some way, like maybe one of his ancestors. I was always highly skeptical of the Bakugo is the second user who traveled back in time theory, but with the crazy twist that we just witnessed in this chapter, I'm starting to become a bit more open-minded. I'll talk more about this later, but first, let's get back to the fight. We then see a sort of internal conversation going on between Bakugo and what looks like the vestige of All Might that currently resides within One for All. This could be just a symbolic representation of All Might, or this could be really part of his vestige that remained within Bakugo due to the events of the second MHA movie. Either way, Bakugo says that he had always meant to ask All Might to autograph his All Might trading card that he had bought together with Deku when they were kids. Due to the circumstances in which they met, Bakugo never got the chance to ask him to sign it, but he always wanted to. The very next panel that we see appears to show a part of Bakugo's body literally bursting apart under the pressure that he had placed on himself with all those nitroglycerin explosions. As Bakugo's body falls to the ground, the Big Three and Miruko attack Shigaraki at the same time. 𝕔𝕚𝕚 rushes to grab Bakugo's lifeless body as it bounces off the ground, and as this intense scene is happening in real time, we hear a weather report that Bakugo's parents just happen to be listening to at the same time. Clouds have appeared in the skies of the Kanto, Chubu, and Kansai regions, even though the skies had been clear just a moment ago. And this has also been accompanied by a sharp rise in temperature. It looks like it's about to rain, and the implication is that this sudden and drastic weather change didn't occur naturally. We see a brief panel of Bakugo's parents, with Bakugo's mom symbolically stating, "That boy hates rain." We then see the devastated faces of 𝕔𝕚𝕚, Monoma, Miruko, and Mirio as Shigaraki declares that the Demon Lord's body is now fully realized and that their story, the story in which the villain is the main character, begins here. The final panel is absolutely brutal, and it shows Bakugo's dead body lying next to his All Might trading card as 𝕔𝕚𝕚 implies that Bakugo's heart has stopped. The text on the final page says, "The end of dreams," and man, this is probably the most heartbreaking and the most brutal panel in all of MHA. Oh, and I just realized as I'm recording this that heartbreaking could be considered to be a pun here, but that was not my intention. It is too soon for puns, too soon. Honestly, this is so rough, and you know I'm serious because I actually mentioned Bakugo's mom without even talking about how hot she is. And you guys who've been watching this channel know that that is very out of character for me. This is truly an insane and game-changing moment in MHA. If this really turns out to be the end of Bakugo, then this probably will turn out to be the biggest moment in MHA, period. But I still say if, because I feel like Bakugo is such an important character to the story that it seems crazy to think that Horikoshi would kill him off. I mean, sure, characters like Midnight and Sir Night-Eye have been killed off, but they're not even in the same league as Bakugo when it comes to importance to the story and overall popularity. In fact, Bakugo has consistently been the single most popular MHA character according to both the Japanese and the US popularity polls. Like, he is literally the most popular character, and he has been for years. He is the undisputed fan favorite. That is one of the reasons why I think that Bakugo could still survive this somehow, because having him die like this without achieving his dream of becoming an equal to Deku just seems so tragic. However, Horikoshi definitely made it seem like he was dead. It looked like his heart actually burst open, and yes, he looks extremely dead at the moment. So reviving him now without making it look like cheap plot armor is going to be very, very difficult. As upset as many fans are certainly going to be if Bakugo really dies, some fans are going to be equally upset if he is somehow brought back to life in a way that feels forced and unrealistic. So if Bakugo somehow survives, how could that happen? If his heart has stopped, how could he possibly come back to life? One option is that Eri, or someone who can use Rewind for whatever reason, is able to use Rewind on Bakugo before he clinically dies. But that is a long shot, because why would little Eri appear on such a dangerous battlefield all of a sudden? But if we are going with Eri or someone else uses Rewind on Bakugo, then I wonder if Eri's Rewind can actually send people back in time. Maybe that is what actually happened to Eri's father. He was sent back in time, but she doesn't realize it and she thinks that she rewinded him out of existence. So if Eri is able to accidentally rewind people back in time, maybe she really could do the same thing to Bakugo. So Bakugo's body is rewound back to life and back to a point where he is not critically injured, but he is also accidentally sent back in time to the era of the second one-for-all user, and he becomes the second one-for-all user. This would be a somewhat plausible way of actually making that Bakugo is the second user theory happen, but this would be such an insane and out there twist that I just don't know if Horikoshi would be willing to go that far. And this would also mean that while Bakugo is not technically dead, he has been sent back in time so he can never see his parents or his friends ever again. Another possibility for how Bakugo could survive that is not related to Rewind is related to nitroglycerin itself. Just as I'm not a physicist, I am not a medical doctor, so I can't confirm any of this. But people have been saying on social media that nitroglycerin is often used in heart medication, and that it can even be used to shock a heart that has stopped back to life. So maybe Bakugo's nitroglycerin will be able to somehow shock his heart back to life, even if it has stopped. Maybe. But the one quick panel that we got to see of Bakugo's heart, or at least what looked like Bakugo's heart, seemed to indicate that there was actual physical damage that the heart had suffered. If that's the case, then this may not be a situation where his heart can just be shocked back to life. If there is serious physical damage to the organ, then the damage has to be repaired somehow before the heart can start beating effectively again. Man, what an absolutely crazy chapter, and you better believe that Bakugo has been trending worldwide on Twitter and other social media. Noxtaku is once again being hailed as the troll prophet of MHA. The shippers are absolutely losing their ship, and the rest of us are wondering where the story will go from here. And we're thinking about the absolutely massive impact that this is sure to have on Deku and the other hero students. I need you guys to comment right now. Do you think that Bakugo is really dead, or can he somehow survive this? I'm not even kidding. Even if you've never commented on one of my videos before, you need to comment on this one. Personally, I am extremely torn about this whole situation. On the one hand, I think Bakugo is too important to die, but on the other, I struggle to see how he can be brought back to life at this point without having it seem like cheap plot armor. If you were the writer of this story and you had to come up with a good way of having Bakugo survive, how would you do it? Comment down below. If you guys enjoyed this Boku no Hero video and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it really helps me out a lot. And of course, if you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. It is a quick and completely free way of directly supporting the channel, and here on YouTube, that means a lot. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at @AnimeUproar. I want to give a big thank you to all of our Anime Uproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to our The One tier patrons, the ones who stand above all other clans, including Alpha Sigma, Pate Heffa, The Toasted Chi, Corey McGowan, Baked Buddhist, and Jeremy Pontier. And I can't forget all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Angel Cruz, Alicia Octer, Fatboy Games, Kaido Might Be a Duck, Alivania, and Anime S Code M. If you guys enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon or here through YouTube memberships. Even a single dollar helps, and it means a lot to us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.